Hello, it's Dr. Meg here, and it's great to be here at the Big Hearted Breeder Summit. Thanks so much for inviting me here again, Heather. As you might know, I am a business coach for dog breeders and a Facebook page called Marketing for Breeders, and my program is called the Elite Breeder Formula. So today I'm going to be talking about what breeds are leading and lagging in 2024. There has been quite a big change in flux in the market at the moment, so let's get into it. Most importantly, out of this presentation, you should be thinking about what will the future hold for your breed, and is it a good time for you to either pivot to a different breed, persevere with the breed you have, or maybe pause breeding altogether, which is something that a lot of breeders are doing right now, unfortunately. So I hope you will get some great information that will help you decide all of these things. So what we're going to cover today is what factors are driving breed popularity changes now and coming up, what the current market trends are by breed, and I'll only be going through a few breeds, but I'll show you how to check yours, how to decide whether to pivot or persevere with your breed, and how to pivot or persevere successfully. So here's a bit of a snapshot of some representative things that are happening on the market right now. This shows you from March 31st, 2019. So this is the last 5 years. And the blue line are golden retriever puppies, the search demand for that particular search phrase. So these are the number of people putting that into Google, golden retriever puppies, in the USA. So it's about half what it used to be, the actual demand for golden retriever puppies. But in the same period, the demand for Cavapoo puppies has risen. So you can tell that it really does depend on what breed you're in as to what you're experiencing right now. There's a few factors driving breed popularity changes out there. One is that there's a decrease in home ownership because of increasing prices for homes across the board in Western countries. There's been a real decrease in income levels because of inflation. And there is an aging population in Western countries, and also the increased popularity of rescue dogs is not helping for us breeders anyhow. The proportion of people in the USA who own a dog, the biggest dog ownership group actually is the kind of age group that has children, the 35 to 44-year age group, and sort of hanging over to each side of that age group. So they're the biggest people who are into dogs in the population. And yet they are the very group that is suffering from a decrease in home ownership. That group there are now renting because they don't own their own house anymore. So that's definitely a factor which would decrease the demand for puppies when we know that this is the very group that tends to own the most pups. So another important factor that's driving breed popularity changes is that the bottom 80% of the income earners in the States, are actually seeing a decline in their actual real income. So that basically means that the poor are getting poorer. But at the same time, the top 20% are taking a bigger piece of the pie. So what this means for marketing puppies is that if you are mainly selling to the bottom 80% of the market, then that market is getting tighter and tighter all the time, and competition will be growing for each dollar in that market as a breeder. So another thing that's driving changes in breed popularity is the law. We've seen a few countries now that have been pressured by their local animal welfare groups to do something about what they call torture breeding. And this is breeding any particular breed which they see as having inbuilt health issues because of their basic mechanical design. Here I'm talking about dogs with very short legs, long pendulous ears, the brachycephalic squash-faced dogs that have trouble breathing and keeping cool, and also dogs with excess skin, and also highly inbred breeds. We've seen it happen in Norway. We've seen it happen now in Germany, where the Dachshund is being targeted. Dachshunds under threat. This one's only from last month. Some of the breeds that have been targeted specifically as so-tortured bred breeds are the French Bulldog, Labrador Retriever, which is a surprise to me, English Bulldog, Golden Retriever, and they're basically citing things like the incidence of cancer, the incidence of hip dysplasia and that sort of thing. German Shepherd, Pug, Cavalier King Charles, Beagle, Chihuahua, Boxer, Dachshund, even my beloved Schnauzer that I breed because it's such an inbred breed. Just keep your eye on this. It might take a while for it to unravel and affect, where you are. But it is something to watch out for and definitely a trend that's happening right now. And I did mention inbreeding as being one of the things that has been targeted. This shows the inbreeding coefficient on the right-hand side here. And the top breeds that you see here are all breeds which are the most inbred popular breeds in the world. The red line is the average for all breeds, which is for purebred breeds, it's 0.25. So expect pressure on least healthy or inbred breeds and maybe consider a move to more functional dog breeds. And because of this problem with the inbreeding, the increasing popularity of crossbreeds is likely to continue. Another factor that we're looking at is the influence of growing carbon neutral laws, which are pushing many, many countries to limit the amount of meat that's being consumed, pushing farmers out. That's what a lot of the protests we've been seeing around the world has all been about, farmers having to cut down their herds of cattle. Expect the cost of meat to go up. Expect a little bit later than that possible rules around the amount of meat that can be consumed, especially if central bank digital currencies are brought in. They can actually program your money so that if you go past a certain amount of meat that you buy, then they'll just switch that capacity off to buy any more for that month, for example. This is definitely in the works. It's coming. I don't know when, but it's definitely coming. So there's been reports on media, saying, the best thing you can do for protecting our climate of the planet is to stop owning a dog or cat because they eat mostly meat. So, there might be pressures coming on there, and the carbon footprint is really a function of the size of the animal. So the bigger the animal, the more meat it eats, and then likely the bigger the carbon footprint will be. So, this kind of is pushing towards smaller breeds. Okay, so expect a climate tax on meat, move to smaller dog breeds, and also a shift to pets that don't eat meat, for example, rabbits. So when we look in general at market trends in the last 5 years, you can see the biggest falls in popularity and market demand have been in general for the larger breeds. So these are blue is the German Shepherd, red is Labrador, and yellow is Rottweiler, and this is all in the USA. Up from, wow, that's a huge drop for the German Shepherd. From up here down to there, it's reduced by 2/3, and less so with Labradors. It's down by about a half, and similar with Rottweilers. And some small breeds are booming in the same time period. So we can see mini Dachshunds have gone up massively in the same period. Toy poodles have dropped a little, and mini Schnauzers have dropped a bit as well. But how many Dachshunds going up, I don't know. It might be because baby boomers are retiring and happen to like them. They seem to be popular with older people. I don't know. Does that mean rush out and breed mini Dachshunds? Not necessarily. When we think about the pressures on dogs with short legs and things like that, might not be the best idea, but it is a good idea to check your breed and have a look at some alternative breeds. Keep in mind functionality, structure, health, and then maybe consider pivoting. So I want to show you now how you can actually check your breed trends. So let's go over to Google Trends. So when you go over to Google Trends, which you can find by just Googling Google Trends, it'll open up in your country, and the way to get started is to just click Explore. See, it's on Australia right now. So click Explore, you can put in your breed. So it might be Bichon Frise. And if you're not in the right country, when you go in here, you can change it. So say it's United States. So put United States in here. You can even go down to the level of your state. So if I go, for example, United States, and let it hover there before I click on it, you can actually select. So I might go, okay, I want to know Arkansas. So you then can compare it to another breed. So let's compare it to Chihuahua. Okay. So best is to change it to past 5 years rather than past 12 months, so you get a better picture. And sometimes there won't be enough search volume to get a meaningful graph. So in this case, I want to go back to United States. So we get a bit more data. Okay, so I haven't done this comparison before, but just at a glance, you can see the Chihuahua is way more popular than the Bichon Frise because there's 75 compared to 8, so there's almost 10 times more searches for Chihuahua than there is for Bichon Frise. Bichon Frise has gone down from 7 down to 6, so it's stayed steady. Chihuahua's gone down from about 74 to about there, 67. So it stayed pretty steady. A little bit of a drop there, but pretty steady. So, explore the different breeds that you're thinking about. What other ones shall I put in there? Beagle. Let's try Beagle. And you can basically see these numbers don't mean anything except to compare one to the other. So you can see Chihuahuas are more than twice as popular as Beagles. Beagles have suffered a little bit of a decline as well. Most breeds have suffered a small decline simply because of the factors that I talked about before. So I hope that's helped you. You'll be able to see now how to do that comparison and do your homework, do your market research using Google Trends. If you are thinking about pivoting, at least go check your own breed and in your own area and see how it's tracking so you don't get some nasty surprises down the track. Okay, so we've shown you how to do that. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pivot or are you going to persevere? Hopefully you're not going to perish. There are a few things to consider. Pivoting to a new breed is expensive and you can't change things overnight. It does take a few years, to wait for your breeding dogs to mature, to do whatever health checks you need to do at the right ages. Make sure you're breeding good, quality, healthy dogs. So do your market research. Don't just rush out on emotional reasons and, get into a new breed because of what the hairdresser said last time you had your hair done. Do consider crossbreeding as well. If you're a purist, apologies, but there's definitely a demand for crossbred dogs. Designer breeds are considered healthier by the top end of the market who've done their homework, who understand inbreeding and things like that. And there's a lot less pressure on crossbred dogs, and it's definitely a faster strategy than having to start a whole new breed if yours is tanking right now. So here's the information for a few other breeds. You can see as far as crossbreeds go, we look at, they're made up of toy poodles with cavaliers, and it produces cavapoos. The yellow is the cavapoo, so red is cavalier. So cavalier has gone from around about 28, 29 down to just below, like about 18. So it's dropped about, 30%. Toy poodle in the same period has dropped about the same amount in demand, whereas the cavapoo has actually increased in demand. So it's come from about 28 up to about 35, I don't know. But you can see it's definitely gone up, right? It's gone up. So if you're an existing toy poodle breeder or even a miniature poodle breeder or an existing cavalier breeder, then, you might want to consider getting into cavapoos, at least for the interim period while you pivot. Again, it doesn't always work that way. This is comparing Huskies Pomeranian and the cross between the two, which is the Pomsky. Huskies have dropped terribly. Look at that. That's incredible. It's about a third, less than a third what it was 5 years ago. Pomeranians, though, they've also dropped down quite a lot, more than half. And even though Pomskys haven't dropped as badly, they've still dropped too. They're still about half what they were. So it doesn't necessarily, go always that designer breeds are going to be better. Do check first. Do the checks. I've shown you how. So make sure you check. Okay, so the next thing you've got to do when you want to consider whether to pivot or persevere and actually win, and you're assessing a particular breed, is work out how many people your marketing has to reach and design your marketing to reach that number of people, either with the dogs you have now and the breed you have now or the new one that you're trying to reach. So let me show you how to work that out. First thing you've got to work out is what I call your minimum market reach. It's basically the number of people that your marketing has to reach in order to sell all your puppies. And of course, it depends on the size of the market, for your breed and the number of puppies that you're trying to sell per year. So how many people do we need to reach to sell one puppy and how many puppies are we trying to sell? We multiply those together, we're going to get the number of people that we have to reach in order to sell all of our puppies. So here's an example here. Now I have been doing this and mentoring breeders for about 4 years now. When I first started, it was pre-COVID, and it took about 5,000 people to reach 5,000 people to sell one Labrador puppy back then. Now it's more like 10,000 people because things have tightened up. So we're going to go on 10,000 people as we use Labradors as the benchmark because they are one of the most popular breeds. So if it takes 10,000 people to sell one Labrador puppy and we're trying to compare it to standard poodles, for example, we might sell standard poodles, that might be our thing, then you can see we need to reach, the demand is 6 times less for standard poodles as it is for Labradors. That means we need to reach 6 times more people to sell one standard poodle puppy as we do to sell one Labrador puppy. And 6 times 10,000 is 60,000 people. So our marketing has to reach 60,000 people in order for us to sell one puppy. So it depends where we live, doesn't it? And it depends, of course, how good our marketing is. This is the example I've given here, 60,000 people. They have to reach to sell one standard poodle puppy. If I want to sell 40 puppies a year, that means my marketing has to reach 2.4 million people. So that's my minimum market reach. So if you're in this situation, if you're a standard poodle breeder and you lived in Oregon, Oregon has a population of 4 million. So if you reached everybody in Oregon, you'd be able to sell your 40 puppies, wouldn't you? But what if you lived in Idaho or Montana? Idaho would have to be reaching out to either Oregon or supplementing itself with Montana numbers, reaching both its own state and Montana in order to sell the 40 puppies in this case study scenario. So go ahead and work it out and figure out from where you live, who do you have to reach?
And if it's too many people or you live in a place that's too far away, then you might want to think about pivoting to a more popular breed. Now, the next thing you need to do, apart from knowing the people you have to reach and what your audience size has to be in your market, is design your breeding business to reach those people. There's no point sitting under a rock when there's all these people around you who are interested in your puppies and they don't know about you. So how do you design your breeding business to reach your target market? And I want to teach you how to do that with a free class. So all you have to do is go to elitebreederformula.com/free breeder masterclass. And I will, for 1 hour, I will teach you how to attract the right buyers, what are they looking for, and how to communicate with them in a way that they understand that you are the breeder that they've been looking for. This 1 hour class is on demand, so you can go in there and watch it within 10 minutes from now, or you can put it off to a time that's more suitable to you. And at the end, if you want to, I'll talk to you afterwards personally and help you with your breeding business for a whole hour of my time. So I look forward to seeing you on the masterclass and maybe talking with some of you there. Good luck with your puppies and your breeding. Bye for now.